Good afternoon. My name is David Elliott Lewis, and I joined SOLVE in October of this year, 2010. And it's been a positive experience. Some people have said if you want to learn something, really understand something, try to teach it to others. And I've discovered to learn about myself, in trying to explain myself to others, to teach myself to others through SOLVE, which is what SOLVE is, sharing our voices, lives, and experiences. It's helped me to better understand myself. Teaching myself to others has taught myself to me, has increased my own self-awareness. For me, a lot of what life seemed to happen to me I seemed to be more reactive to life rather than proactive. Rather than creating the life I wanted, I sort of reacted to a series of unfortunate events. And I did, some years back, suffer a series of unfortunate events: death of a parent, failure of a long-term marriage, failure of a long-term successful business. And the stresses of those became overwhelming at some point. And I think maybe contributed to a pre-existing mental illness related to depression and anxiety. I don't know. But it became overwhelming and disabling. And I became disabled by depression. And SOLVE gave me a way to step back and gain experience and gain a perspective on what had happened to me, and what I had done previously to pull myself out. And it also encouraged me to want to help others, to not just to destigmatize the processes of mental illness, but to actually offer useful advice for people who've suffered depression, anxiety attacks, panic disorders, and such. I thought if I could learn to overcome these problems, maybe other people could too. In just preparing my own story, I gained more insight into my story, but also because the SOLVE is a multi-presenter panel, I have actually benefited by listening to the presenters of other SOLVE. We call them fellow peer presenters, and hearing their stories, their trials and tribulations, the mental illnesses they've suffered, how they've triumphed over adversity, that has actually encouraged me. It's not just been hearing my story and clarifying it, it's been hearing other people's stories too. So it's been a shared experience. Furthermore, as I've shared my experience with others in the audience, and the techniques I have used to overcome some of my adversities, I talk about techniques like creative visualization, use of personal affirmations, some form of prayer. It reminds me that it reminds me of the practice and the importance of doing it myself. That it's like common sense advice, but it bears worth repeating. And as I tell myself this advice and I remind others to do it, I'm reminding myself to do it. I'm reminding myself to practice the kind of good thinking and right livelihood that helps pull me out of the abyss and keep me out of the abyss. There are a few things I'd like to say. One, no matter how overwhelming your sense of troubles or depression or anxiety or self-hatred or self-loathing are, those feelings will pass. The most horrific feelings, suicidal feelings, I often call as the permanent solution to a temporary problem. Those feelings will pass. Good feelings pass, but bad feelings pass too. And so I would caution people to have patience and remember that bad feelings will pass. Also, I encourage people to participate in SOLVE and to share their own stories and to kind of benefit from the healing that I've experienced and I've seen my fellow peer presenters experience by sharing their stories.